Hello everybody, happy weekends to you if you are indeed watching this just before or just at the beginning of the weekend. If you're not, happy day to you. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're steering clear of gambling if that's your plan. If you're not steering clear of gambling, then hope you're doing well. I hope you've got some great plans for today or for the weekend. In case you haven't watched any of my videos before, my name, as the really quite elaborate username will tell you, is Phil. I am a former gambling addict. I am now what I class as an ex-gambler. People think that's dangerous. People think that that's denying my addiction. I know that I can't gamble because I know that I am completely incapable of controlling my gambling once I start doing it. But I don't like the label gambling addict for reasons I've discussed previously. So I class myself as an ex-gambler. But certainly I do have a problem by which I can never gamble again for those reasons. Now, what I want to talk about today was something that sort of came off the back of the personal responsibility I had in the comments section of one of my recent videos. Now, recently, as some who may or may not be aware, is I had 12 sessions of free counselling from Break Even to address the underlying root causes of my gambling addiction. Now, this was very, very helpful for me. And actually, this was something that's partially funded via a charity by gambling companies. And the reason I mention this is because quite often people will say, and I understand the principle behind this at all, and I to an extent I agree. People will say, well, gambling companies need to take more responsibility for the issues that they're creating with their product. And I completely agree. I think there is a moral obligation for these gambling companies to pay money to help the people that are affected by the product that they advertise and the product they provide. However, the gambling companies in the UK at least already spend quite a lot of money in this way, and this isn't because they're wonderful people and they're all, you know, on some sort of moral high ground. I mean, the reason for this is fundamentally because it's good PR, and partially because they're obligated to by, you know, the Gambling Commission's guidelines. You know, and also it gives them a really good defence whenever they come under criticism. Whenever there's a, you know, for example, a high-profile gambling suicide or something like that, it gives them a line of defence. So, like I say, I don't believe this is purely out of the kindness of their own hearts, but certainly the funding is there coming from the Gambling Commission. And this was, sorry, not the Gambling Commission, sorry, the gambling companies. This was highlighted to me again when a friend of mine asked for advice. Asked me about my counselling. I said, yeah, I got it through Break Even. You know, here's the website, go and have a look, sign up. And he did. He got a call back the same day, and he got a appointment booked within I think it was 3 days of the phone call, and it was only delayed that much because, you know, basically because he wanted it to fit around his work, which they did. So there's obviously no shortage of this help available, you know, in this form for people with a gambling problem. The NHS has very, very much expanded its treatment services for gambling addicts. There are now several large focused gambling charities who will help people with gambling problems. There has never been so much funding, so much high profile help available for people with a gambling addiction. And of course, this is required because gambling has never been such a big epidemic, particularly in the UK, as it has been over, I would say, probably the last 10 years or so. But there's clearly these services, these lines of help with gambling addiction haven't reached a saturation point. If people are able to inquire and arrange an appointment and arrange a counselling session, a proper full counselling session with a qualified counsellor the same day, these services are obviously not reached saturation, which is great for anyone watching this video or anyone with a gambling problem who wants help. Get in touch with someone like Break Even, with GamCare, and you can get real help with a qualified professional, not just some random guy on the internet who rambles, and you can get that really, really quickly. So why aren't more people doing this? Because it really worked for me. Well, maybe counselling's not for you. Maybe that isn't your thing. I made a video not so long ago explaining why I didn't think that GA was for me. I gave quite a lot of reasons as to why GA was not for me, and maybe I'll tag the video up there somewhere. So maybe counselling isn't for you. Maybe you're not ready to make a commitment to go into counselling. Maybe you're worried about the time commitment and stuff, and these are all perfectly natural, objections or natural concerns. Maybe you don't like the idea of speaking to a professional about this. Maybe in the case of GA, you don't like the idea of speaking to a group about your gambling addiction. And again, I completely understand this. This is why I say you should always talk to someone, if it's not a professional, if it's not a group, but always try and talk to someone. But even if you're not ready to talk to someone, there are things you can do practically to help you stop your gambling. You can self-exclude from any website that you gamble on. You can self-exclude from any bookmakers that you go into, and there's the national exclusion scheme now as well for bookmakers for that exact reason. Now, to exclude from a single bookmaker normally just requires you to walk into a bookies with a form, a couple of passport size photos. You can just print those off if you want. You don't need to go to the booths, and they will be able to take your form and put you on the system and self-exclude you from one or multiple of their shops. The self-exclusion scheme, I haven't actually been through myself, to be completely honest with you, but from what some of my subscribers and some of my followers have told me, it's actually really quite a simple thing. Now, self-excluding online is even easier. You go to the responsible gambling section of any casino, any bookmaking website, and on there will be call-off periods, and there'll be a tag, excuse me, or a link for a self-exclusion form, and you can self-exclude for the maximum period of time possible to ensure that you can't gamble on that site. Again, we all know that there are new gambling sites, new bookies, new casinos popping up all the time because, let's face it, it's such a lucrative industry. So then use GamStop. GamStop is an incredibly powerful tool that will stop you accessing these sites, will stop you signing up, will stop you gambling on any UK registered licensed casino. And it really doesn't take much more than 5 minutes of your time and a few clicks. There are things you can do right now, changes you can make that don't take any effort at all. If you're going to the pub and you know that you're likely to pay the fruit machine, don't take any cash, just take your bank card. Use contactless, just take your bank card. Don't want to do that? Or worry that you can get cash back, or you walk past a cash point? Okay, well, how much do you normally drink? 5 pints? Take 25, 30 quid, depending on where depending on where you live and how expensive your beer is. Take enough for as many beers as you think you're realistically going to drink that evening. Do that. If you're going out tonight, obviously add on your taxi money and what have you. You're unlikely to leave yourself stranded. Even if you're an addict, you're likely to separate that money out. And you're certainly, I don't know if you're anything like me, you're not going to spend the money you got for your next pint on a couple of spins on the fruit machine, are you? So do that. So there are more ways than ever in which we can stop ourselves from gambling, physically prevent ourselves from gambling, as well as getting progressive help, in addressing the underlying root cause, which I think is really, really handy. However, I used to be one of these people, but you may also be one of these people, and you may know people like this, and I certainly still do. You'll suggest these things to them. You'll suggest, get GamStop. Yeah, I will do that, mate. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. And I'll go, okay, well, we're going out. Well, why? And I'll see my mate, and I go, well, why have you got 300 quid in cash in you? Oh, well, just in case. Well, just in case what? What, pints go up to 30 quid a pint in the next hour or so? Or they won't go and self-exclude because, I don't want to go in because it's embarrassing. I always say, actually, with bookie self-exclusion, you think it's embarrassing, but so many people say about the bookies, and I don't know if this is true or not, it's not something I've experienced, but they say that the people in the shops judge them, the people in the shops mock them from behind the counter. And again, it's not something I've experienced, but so many people say it. It might be in the mind, it might actually be happening. So if these people are mocking you for gambling too much, for losing all your money, do you not think that if you go in and ask for a self-exclusion form, they're not going to maybe think a bit better of you? Think, well, hang on a minute, this guy's clearly got a problem, but he's doing something about it. He's really gone to help himself. But anyway, my point is that you can suggest to these people, this massive group of people, of which I was one for many years, you can say, well, why don't you do this? Why don't you hand your finances over to someone? Why do you just not carry as much cash? Anything from the real heavyweight stuff like counselling, which actually isn't as heavyweight as you think, to the simple things like just not carrying a wallet full of cash that you don't need for anything in particular. But yet they'll say, oh no, I won't do that. Well, maybe I'll do that next week, or maybe I'll do that at the weekend. Why? Why do we do this? Why do we give these excuses? And the reason we give these excuses is because we want to leave that door open. Maybe unconsciously we're not aware of it, but subconsciously we're aware. We don't want to put a line under it. We don't want to put a concrete wall in front of us that says, you cannot gamble. You cannot go on your preferred casino of choice. And I get it, and it doesn't. This is the thing. That's fine. If you don't want to stop gambling, if you don't want to quit gambling, if you don't want to stop playing the online slots, if you don't want to stop going to the bookies, if you don't want to stop betting, or on your football or whatever, that's absolutely fine. I've got good friends who gamble. I've got, I know loads of people who gamble. I know people with gambling problems who still gamble. It's not my shout. You'll never see me in a video say, you should stop gambling, or you need to stop gambling. It's not my choice to make. It's not my decision to make. It's not my business what you do. If you don't want to stop gambling, don't stop gambling. You have to. 2 reasons for that. Firstly, again, not my decision. Secondly, if you don't want to stop, you're not going to stop. People say, well, there's no point in self-excluding because there's always ways round. Yeah, there is. I could go out tonight and gamble if I wanted to. It would be a lot bloody harder than it used to be, because I couldn't do it on my laptop, on my phone, and I couldn't go in the bookies within like a 3-mile radius of my house. I couldn't go in my local pub and gamble because they all know about my problems because I've spoken to them. So I've got all these blocks in place, which would buy me time and would actually give me a breathing space to come to my senses and not gamble. But I could go and do it if I wanted, and so there is an excuse. Oh, what's the point? I could always find a way of gambling. Well, yeah, but that's not the point. If you're making excuses to not make a start on putting these blocks in and actually helping your recovery and starting your recovery, then you clearly don't want to stop gambling. And you don't get any judgment from me or anyone, I don't think, for that. If you don't want to stop gambling, you want to keep on gambling, keep on gambling. There will be these blocks, there will be these measures, there will be this help and this counselling and all these great things. And they will be there and ready to access as and when you decide you do really want to stop, but you have to want to stop first. Otherwise, it's not going to work. You can do everything I say, you can do everything that's advised to you, you can go and see a counsellor. But if you haven't made that decision that enough is enough and it's your time to knock it on the head, then they're not going to work. And like I say, if you want to keep gambling, then it's no business of mine. I still very much appreciate you watching the videos. I hope some of this maybe rings true with you, because like I say, I was in this situation for years. I had these moments where normally when I'd done my bollocks and I thought, I need to stop doing this. I really need to stop doing this. And then the moment passed, but I didn't want to stop. I never wanted to actually call a day and quit. So I never did. It's only when I thought, you know what, enough is enough. I really have had enough now, and I'm going to stop because I want to, that I actually started seeing how powerful some of these services, some of these tools are when it comes to quitting gambling. Anyway, it's Friday evening. I've just pulled up at the pub, so I'm going to leave that with you. Have a great weekend, everyone, and I will catch you on the next one. See you soon.